welcome. Super excited today to be speaking to the amazing Ameya Cohen, Rose Queen, a mother, priestess, teacher. Let me know that some reason online likes to take some time. Very good, scared or expect you may. This happened to my friend last time. Oh no. You'll give them an invite as well. Thank you for your patience. I'm learning this week through life that it's not always easy. It can take time. And everyone with joy. Yay!
I was I was sweating a little bit. I was like, I pressed request. I don't know.
Yes. No, I saw it just doesn't. I don't know why that happened last week. My friend, we were just like, oh, so I kept accepting. I know she was there, but it didn't. I don't know. Anyway, thank you, Maya. Thank you
Hi,
for
Sophie. Hi,
fine. Okay,
Sophie.
hi again. So lovely to see you. Just want to say a deep thank you and gratitude for you taking the time to do this live. Thank you, Queen of the Road.
And for
Um,
me.
Thank you. And so beautiful that we met. Well, we've met twice, and I love that you shared that in the story. It's a very beautiful memory. Your memory's amazing. I want to really honor that as well. And that beautiful that it's both been in Glastonbury and Avalon. That's been really special. And at the White Spring. So
Yeah,
randomly.
and both during the Magdalene, right?
Yeah.
The first one too was during, it was a couple years ago during the Magdalene Festival.
Exactly. Yeah, it was with Lars
Lars
Moore.
Moore. Yeah.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was going to start a little bit by actually sharing a story, which I don't think I've told you yet, but so, um, before we go into the full thing, I just want you to know this because it's quite sweet. So when I had my own Rose Awakening, over 5 years ago, I had some astrologer told me that this night I was going to get shown my destiny. And that night I went in and out of consciousness, just chanting the way, the rose, the way, the rose, the way, the rose. Like my body was calling back these timelines. And I woke up and I was like, what was the way, the rose? What is that? Googled it. And you and Ginger were the first people to come up. And I feel like you've always, both you always hold a very dear place in my heart because of that, because I felt like you guys gave me permission and reassurance that I wasn't completely mad, that this was a thing. I feel like you're the way shows for many people many sisters who have been waking up to the rose these last few years. And just not honoring you guys for that. It really helped me. And that was actually three months later, I then got shown by the land to do this women's festival and to call it Heart of the Rose, and it was kind of unfolding. And I feel like I'll never forget that morning I woke up and found you guys. So thank you for that.
Oh, I love that. I feel like we were your welcoming committee.
You
The the dwellers at the threshold saying, "Yes,
were
come, come."
100%, and I'm sure not just this lifetime, many before, but I feel like you guys have held held our hands, guiding us into this descent, into
Right.
into the descent. So sharing that, I was also curious yourself because I've not asked you, like, how did you find the rose and this path and this Magdalene Rose path? Because you've been doing it for a while, haven't you?
Well, at Shintian, I have been running our Rose Priestess training for 7 years. And before we came together to do a priestess training, I had run 3 years before that. So,
mm,
um, it's like so many, it's like a long and windy road of just
mm,
really listening to spirit and really being deeply connected. Because I feel like my story could go back into other lifetimes and then, this lifetime, but really on a conscious level, when I was 19 or 20, and this was a long time
mm,
ago. I feel like we're like moving into the elder years, Achintia and I, of like the rose priestesses, but I'm
mm,
48, so 28 years ago.
mm, mm,
I was at a women's herbal conference and a woman came forward. So this was like pre cell phones and internet and all of this. And there was a woman, Elisa Starkweather, who came and sang, and she was introduced as a priestess. And
mm,
it was like my whole body just was covered in a knowing. I had no idea really what it was. I mean, I was at a women's herbal conference, so I was like, oh, woman connected to the earth. And I
mm,
had a resonance, but it was really that moment that feels like it set me off on my journey
mm,
because I had this clear knowing of, oh, I am that too, even though I'm not sure exactly what that means.
mm,
And, that's really one of the most powerful parts of this path is it's an exploration of discovery, of embodiment, and there's no one size fits all, and there's no specific template that we have to fit into or look like. Or, I mean, of course, there's shared resonance and frequency because there's truth in that. And so, really, from that point on, my love has always been the earth,
mm,
flowers,
mm,
roses, plants. So
mm,
the earth has really been my teacher that has opened all the pathways so that I can hear the seeds of the rose that have been implanted into the earth. That's
mm,
my
mm,
channel for priestessing and messaging
mm,
and insight. And so when I travel to sacred lands, whether it's for myself or leading pilgrimage, it's always the earth, always the earth that leads me to Mary Magdalene, to Yeshua,
mm,
to the Essenes and the Celtic, the Druidic mythologies that I love and adore. And the rose lineage is just this beautiful encompassing of so many of those lands with the exaltation of Venus, of course.
mm,
So, my journey has been probably similar to a lot of people. It's like moments by moments, practicing embodiment, maturation, expressing dreams, the honeybees, the royal bloodline, all of these extraordinary
mm,
moments that have led me to now.
mm,
So, I
mm,
mean, gosh, there's so many like specific moments, but I don't know how to place them in here. And a lot of them have really happened on sacred lands, Avalon and
mm,
Israel,
mm,
in Palestine, in southern France.
mm,
Deep, deep, profound knowings.
mm. So
Yeah.
beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for doing all the journey. Epic journey. Yeah, I can imagine to try and squeeze that into like a few
I'm
minutes.
like, how much time do we have? We need to have tea and really,
It's
really
long.
get into it. And I
It's
think
long.
that's a really beautiful, like, awareness for us on this path is that,
Mm,
you know, sometimes we have these big, openings and these big moments of remembrance. And oftentimes what I see for women is like the grains of sand, the
mm,
petals of the rose that are placed out for us to go, oh,
mm,
I'm going to collect that and put that into my basket. That feels really important for to know
mm,
thyself. Oh, here's
mm,
another petal. Here's another thing. And it's really a reconditioning of what we've learned is to actually be in partnership with the spirit and the unseen,
mm,
and trust that all the messages and all those rose petals are leading
mm,
you to like the highest, most exquisite place of
mm,
knowing.
mm, mm. Yeah, trust. Big one. That came up in the last live too. Comes up a lot recently. I'm like, teacher of the
Yeah, what do
rose.
you need to hear? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, I hear you, really. You reminded me a little bit of the trained as a psychotherapist, and they always used to say we want a staircase rather than a trampoline. We want like kind of like we have a moment and then we take this time to integrate, and then we have another moment and we take this time to really integrate versus a kind of like peak experience and come back down, and then and that yeah, the journey really is, and it's almost like we've been we've been conditioned to think it's like this, but really it's kind of like spiral down.
I mean,
It's just
I will
like,
say, yeah, like some of my, when I think of like some of my most like extraordinary moments where all of a sudden, Mary Magdalene is laying in bed next to me, giving me the rights
mm,
of the womb,
mm,
there's something
mm,
that also is so familiar and
mm,
grounded in those moments. And I
mm,
think in the spiritual realms, we think it needs to be this like massive, almost you leave your body. But like
mm,
you said, what actually helps you to stay in
mm,
an anchored place with it is have a moment, breathe, do your practices, right?
mm,
That's the
mm,
way. Have another moment. And they can all be exalted, but it is kind of nice to not have to leave your body and then have the process of coming back in an intense way, right? And that's where spiritual practice really comes in, right? That's the tools and the techniques that we train women in, is like that's where the daily practice comes in. So we stay grounded, but we also stay in connection and relationship to the thing that we've just received so we can live that. Or else it just becomes this thing outside of ourselves. Yeah.
100%. It's that embodiment piece that I feel that she is that teacher. I remember when I even asked when after I found your website. I remember it so well because it was just such a strong experience. And then I was like, but what is this rose lineage? And the guides were just like, it is a path to embodied love or of embodied love. And it was just like, just this kind of
Mhm.
piece of like it just being in the body, staying in the body, resurrecting the body to its highest expression through love, through being here, which was just so contrary to what we've been taught, where it's like God is somehow outside, spirit is somehow outside, somehow got to get up and out. And I know you speak so beautifully and teach so beautifully this in terms of the womb and the mysteries of the womb, and also your beautiful workshop that you've got coming up on the womb, and I think you said relinking the womb. I think it's called like
I don't know the name. I think
maybe I should
I
look up
don't
the
know.
Venus Rose Grail mystery. The
It's the
Venus
Rose
Rose
Brown
Grail mystery.
Mysteries of the
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you're going to be talking to a Chintia as well. And so we have similar paths, but different paths. And that's why we harmonize in such this beautiful way together. I I feel like most of my life has really been in devotion and in like a real quest to understand the power of the womb space. Just like my own process of like painful cycles as a teenager, and then I became a birth doula and a postpartum doula and a women's herbalist. Like I was just always like, what can I learn about the womb? Because it's this completely desecrated and also misunderstood part of our bodies. And therefore, it most likely has the most power and significance of our bodies. And we have chosen to talk about the womb because we both are very passionate about all the energetics and the sacred feminine template that resides within the womb space. And also because on that day, or no, a week before we begin, Venus descends from the solar plexus to the womb space. And she's focalized at that place for a month in her descent journey. And when Venus is the morning star descending, we have lots of invitations to release and let go. And so at the womb space, there's a lot. There's the personal trauma imprints, there's the collective trauma imprints, there's the historical and historical trauma imprints. So we figured because we love the womb anyway, and it aligns with where Venus will currently be residing in, and if we look at Inanna's journey, we have to talk about the womb and do a journey to explore and to release, because when we release, we simultaneously reclaim, right? When we release, and we let go, there's more space for whatever else wants to take up residency in
mm,
the womb space. And we want it to
mm,
be exactly what its inherent powers are.
mm,
So it's going to be a class about, Venus and Venus's cycle with the womb space, why, the rose lineage is connected to the path of the rose in the heavenly skies through Venus. And so if we're living as rose priestesses, we really have to understand this ancient, very intricate map that we're given to give death to and to rise again over and over and over and over and over
mm,
again.
that never ending.
It's not,
Cycle.
I mean, that's the beauty is like you look at a rose in bloom, it's like it's never
Mhm,
ending. You trace your fingers around the petals
mm,
and the petals and the petals, and you get to the center, and
mm,
then you come back out and you repeat it again. And the womb space, it's the cauldron of power, and
mm,
not power over that we're seeing in the world or that we've experienced ourselves, but power with and power for. It's also the place, it's connected to our own umbilicus, to the cosmos. So it's the place of our soul dreams. It's a place where we can really access, like, what are we doing here? How am I meant to be serving and giving? Not from this place of like pressure of like having your purpose, but that there's a soul frequency that you're here to
mm,
inhabit. This life is not just to be taken for granted. This life is meant to be lived. And so, how do we live that? And that is housed in the womb space. And then, of course, the womb is the chalice. It's the place to receive pleasure, receive connection, receive financial abundance, receive trust. Like it's the chalice, you just keep pouring and pouring and pouring and pouring. And most of us have a lot of issues around receiving. So we want to really support the repair of that because we are inherently meant to receive and enjoy this life.
mm, mm. Thank you for sharing that. It's, yeah, just honoring the work you're doing with the womb. It's just instrument. It is the work. This lifetime, like we have incarnated into these bodies that are holding so much, and especially as women, like so much in the cellular body, distorted, but we don't even know that it's distorted. We're just like it's normal sometimes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So grateful and honoring
I
you
mean,
for
I
that.
think that's the most beautiful thing that you probably have experienced in yourself and witnessing other women, right? Is like when something pierces through what I call like the most convincing illusion that we've been
Mm,
given. I feel like I could
mm,
cry. Just we
mm,
all believe something so it's so convincing
mm,
that we are less than, that we are not good enough, that we have to mistrust, that we can have pleasure, that all of these things that are housed in the womb space. And so to bear witness to what you're saying, that moment of going, I think there's something more. And I think I want to believe that to be true is
mm,
such like a momentous moment because it's not just for you. That's
mm,
amazing. But it
mm, mm,
heals the ancestral line going back and it opens the pathway for the descendants to receive in the future. It's like this
mm,
extraordinary configuration of all these energetics that are conspiring for epic healing and remembrance and life, right? Like Eros is like the life of your being, vitality. That's how we're meant to live. And we are just like stretching ourselves out of the indoctrination and really breaking the spell that's been cast over for too long.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
A woman, a woman,
Amen.
amen.
Yeah, it's a complete rewiring just to remember these bodies were made for pleasure. They're literally made. I read this beautiful I don't know if you've ever read Daniel Odier's book, Desires a Path to Awaken. It's Kashmir Silence, this beautiful lineage in it. It's got just a specific chapter that's women and spirituality, and it speaks so beautifully about women, how their bodies are literally hardwired for enlightenment and hardwired for pleasure. And I remember just first reading that, just crying, like hearing this about knowing I needed to hear this, and how much I unconsciously didn't believe that, and then suddenly, these are made for God. They are made for the sacred. They are made. They are made for abundance. And yet
I
we
know.
just keep living
And
in.
isn't that wild
Mhm.
that we've basically been taught the exact opposite of that, and we live in that lack place, and we live in the fear, and that's why when we have these moments where, like, Yeshua or the honeybees or the roses or Mary Magdalene or
Mhm.
you know Rhiannon or these beings that we think live outside of us, when we have these moments where they appear and they either yell at us or whisper, this is actually who you are.
Mhm.
I think one of the most extraordinary things, and for those of you listening, for those of you coming to the festival, it is the most extraordinary thing to have the courage to believe that to be true before you even
Mhm.
like actually know it or have had evidence of that, that you deeply do trust the unseen, and you deeply do trust these beings, these relationships who are reminding you. And I think that, like in the world we live in, to have the bravery to say, I'm choosing a different path and I actually believe this to be true and these are my deepest values, it's like a celebration, a
Mhm.
real celebration.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you. Thank you. Speaking words of truth.
Yeah. It all, I mean,
Mhm.
I'm like such a tender person. I could cry like all the time. I find so
Mhm.
much beauty and tenderness in the world. And
Mhm.
so the Rose Priestess path feels like it always brings tears to my eyes because of
Mhm.
what it evokes and what it offers, and the generosity and then the willingness of whoever steps forward and says, yes,
Mhm.
I'm going to walk this path and I believe it and I'm going to live it, and then I'm going to share it and I'm going to share my gifts and my love. It's like that is like the most beautiful, beautiful offering. And that's why, the consciousness is so heightened right now, that there's so many more people waking up to the Rose lineage. Like
Mhm.
our consciousness is like, yes, yes. And so we are here to create and actualize in a very different way than has been
Mhm.
before.
100%. And I can imagine you must have seen this too with your Rose Priestess training, but I know I've seen it with Heart of the Rose, thinking of the seed gathering was like 50 women, and then last year was like 500, and now the brothers also. I'm getting messages from so many brothers being like, the rose is calling me. I'm having dreams about the rose. Like, tell me, what is this? And like, I feel like we're just at the very beginning of this rose awakening, when in truth, like Divine Mother awakening, this path of the heart, like we're just at the beginning as a collective. And why it feels like the Guidance Flow Summit was to like go global, connect, because there's so many, as you said, waking up like to this, to our true nature and our true essence, which is this divine love that the rose so beautifully embodies and reflects back to us in some way. Mm.
I mean, I think what you are creating and curating, and I know the level of your own expansion that is needed to create something like this, and I really honor your capacity and your ability, because it's so needed, this place of belonging and this place of connection within the heart of the rose. And I hope that you're deeply receiving in the way that you're putting out as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Takes a- I know I know it's a
Mm.
massive devotional. It's yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for that. Like that. I was actually listening to one of your reels today around you speaking about spiritual business, and I know myself it hasn't been easy. Like I've been so ill from doing this the last 5 years. I haven't been able to walk. I haven't been able to, like, I still can't sit on the ground. Like, my hair's like, it's been an initiation. Not only that,
Yeah.
because it's on the family's land as well. So I'm like, I'm gonna the first one to inherit. There's so much, but like, my soul said yes to, but it feels like the rose somehow she gives you this strength. Like people, and I was wanted to speak to us. Maybe this could be the last question because I know that you probably have to go. But this priestess path, I think it can be misunderstood, and I know I've received that in Heart Rose, and people are like, oh, it's just floaty dresses. I'm like, no, if you like follow this path, this is like truly like if you're here to truly embody love and truly bring love down into the darkest places of all humanity, of all layers and veils, and here to be this bridge between worlds. This is not it's not a floaty path. Like if anything, it's a deep path. And I remember seeing this beautiful post you did, and it resonated so deeply. I was so grateful because it was like the importance of the work of a priestess. And I know there's so much distortion around that word that has been tainted a bit now in our culture, and it isn't, but I really feel like it's really important, and I think we need to reclaim it even right now as it stands. Do you know what I mean? If you can speak more about it,
I
the post was
I
beautiful.
mean, I could talk about this for this is like there's something so amazing when a path or a teaching becomes more popular because people have access to it and there's communication and there's like, hey, I've read this book and I want to give it to you. Like there's something so amazing.
Mm,
And because of the world of social media, there's also so much shadow and distortion
mm,
of what a priestess is, and almost like it can come across as like cultish or like you
mhm,
said, like oh, we're just gonna like dress up and be beautiful, and that is one aspect that I absolutely
mhm,
love as well.
mhm,
But you know, one of the things that's really important to me and to Achintia, that which is really the foundation of priestesses of the rose, our training, is that if you study Venus's path, her path as morning star and evening star is about the descent and the ascent. And so if you're familiar with Inanna's journey, especially into the underworld, where she is literally, you know, removing her earrings, removing her
mhm,
clothing, like
yeah,
removing her breastplate, she is coming, releasing egoic tendencies and shadows and pains and power
mm,
overs and manipulations and all the things that we all do. And
mm,
she gets to the underworld and she is just naked in her majesty of vulnerability, right? She's like, I have stripped myself bare. That is a very different expression than, you know, dancing around in our beautiful flowing
mhm,
gowns. That's
mhm,
an aspect that we need to do in order to stay grounded and connected and also have play and pleasure. But she
mhm,
sits in the underworld, Inanna, and she is like, in the deepest, vulnerable, intimate state of her own
mm,
self,
mm,
and self in like soul self, not ego self. And then she sits in the underworld, resting and breathing for months. And then, as in a shamanic death and resurrection, she rises again. And in that place, when she rises, she's so much more whole and embodied. She's brought forth and unified all these fragmented parts and released all these things. So by the time she rises, she's queen of the heavens, queen in like the truest sense of queen. And so this path is, I think people are really surprised at the depth of this
mm,
path, right?
mm,
I think that this path offers such profundity for those who are willing to go in the shadowlands, but also who are really willing to explore the lands of ecstasy, because the lands of ecstasy also often get overlooked. It's like most of us are
mhm,
like, "Ooh, I
mhm,
like love being in the shadows and I can do the underworld," but you can't have one without the other. So how do we then get to like be ecstatic and be in love and, you know,
mm,
have eros, which is that life-giving elixir of pleasure in our bodies. And so
mm,
it's a dynamic path. And then within that there's all this like epic spiritual teachings and technologies and awarenesses, but it's deep. It's deep. Yeah. I mean, it's a transformational path.
Mm,
And it's a living wisdom path that has been here for
mm,
thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And if it did not have that living wisdom, it
mm,
would have completed and burnt out a long time ago.
mm, mm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it feels like it's like
um,
a path to be human, or it's it's a path of being human. It's just of awakening
mhm,
to our divinity or in human form. It's totally divine and
yeah,
human. I love that you spoke of the ecstasy and the descent. It's like both and who is the one beyond both, all of it. It's like this. Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you for bringing that to me. Thank
yeah. I'm so
you.
glad you brought that question. And that just, I think that, I think that there's so many, what's the word? There's so many internal judgments that we all make about other people or about a living path. And sort of to make it easier for ourselves, we go like, well, that's not for me. I don't have flowing clothes, or I don't, I can't go on pilgrimage, or I can, we make all these judgments. But really, the thing is that spirit is going to keep giving you all of these rose petals until you say, I can no longer not walk this path. And
Mm,
that's what happens for a lot of women. They go, I can no longer ignore the truth of my being. And it's a potent moment.
mm.
And we know that priests and priestesses of the rose are absolutely needed right now.
Andrew said, yeah. I think that's
I'm just like, come on. I sometimes I feel like I get a little intense because I'm like, I feel like I've been saying the same thing for 20 years, but I'm like, let's go, people, let's go. We have so much work that is here for love to, cascade into the world, and the fears and the hesitations, all the things that keep us back. It's like, let's put the story aside and just be in service to the heart and soul of humanity. Like, we have to.
time. It,
Time. Time
yeah.
is of the essence. And we may see the results of it in our lifetime and we may not, just like
Mhm.
the other great beings that we honor and revere. Some
Very
of them
true.
saw actualization of love, and some of them, died defending the greatest love we have.
Mm. I pray we get to see. I feel like we're seeing it in our lifetime. I feel
We
this
we are seeing it, but I think there's some people that are still feeling so much of the ache of
100%.
what's
Yeah.
happening. And I have Chiron and Taurus, so I have a little bit of there. I'm never doing enough.
Mm,
It's not like the not enough is Taurus, like not enough beauty, not enough. So I
mm,
have that part of me of I need to do more. I
mm,
must do more. And
mm,
even though there's all of this epicness happening, right? Like your festival and now this summit and all these men and women going, oh my gosh, the rose. There's also a lot of people who are feeling like the ache
mm,
of suffering.
mm,
And we are doing a lot, and we need to have that active hope that all of this is translating through the dragon and the ley lines of this planet and resurrecting love.
mm. It's like that. I feel just want to name because it feels so resonant to what the summit really is about, which is this. Like I think we have to hold. We're at this. I was going to finish it right as well. So like we're at this such pivotal time. I know Diana Cooper speaks briefly about this. How we're like between 2012, 2032, and we really are in this shift of the ages and infinite timelines and spaces. But it was so interesting for me when I got the guidance to take it global. Like I was so burnt out last year. I was like, I can't do another Heart of the Rose. But the guys were like, you can, but you can do it differently. Like it's time to go online
Yes.
the connect, global. I was like, great, that's still a lot, but okay, let's try. But it was so clear in relation to one of the main intentions being to connect these rose temples of being asked to be like so many people I've been meeting in the last years have been called to different areas of land to resurrect these temples, these divine Mother Rose temples that are holding this frequency for this new earth, for this new frequency of unconditional love. Like I really tasted part of the rose. Like I remember other people have like we did a 2 hour prayer ceremony for the feminine and the rise of return and reclamation of the feminine the second year and an angel came out of the fire. I mean like someone pictured it, was insane. And then the third year like everything turned pink. It was like and it was like this new frequency that it was like holding both like this end of this old age and also really I feel like those who call
Yes.
the rose also hold to here to hold this new frequency. And even though we can't fully feel it all the time, it's there. And I think these rose temples and these rose communities that hopefully Summit will connect will kind of be these lighthouses for anchoring, just one lighthouse, they're infinite lighthouses, but one aspect of these lighthouses anchoring and holding this frequency of divine love, of divine of the return of the divine mother, not in negation to the masculine, but so everything can come back into balance. But just when
Yeah.
you said that the grid, it feels like this divine mother grid, it's here, it's resurrecting, and we need to like come into
Yeah.
um,
Well, I
yeah.
think it's there's so many pieces that have been happening for thousands of years, right? It's like if we think of Yeshua, I mean, I'm a lover of Yeshua. Like if you think of what he imprinted into the earth so
Mm,
that, my hands could go on that same place and I get the download of those
mm,
teachings and then I get to
mm,
take them and share them, or I put my hands somewhere else in the earth and then somebody else comes along and puts their hands in that same place. And so there's these beacons that have been placed and that we're continuing to then,
mm, mm,
place them as part of our
mm,
legacy. And there's this, it's for me it feels like this like holographic lineage seeding that
mm,
has been, that is, and that will
mm,
be. And we each have a very specific part of that, and each looks
mm,
really different.
mm,
And it's all really important, right? So
mm, mm,
you know, one of the things that we do in Priestesses of the Rose is we talk about the Grail Castle, which is really connected actually to the center of the womb space, and the Grail Castle being that place where the rose lineage comes together in
mm,
harmony, the brothers, the sisters, the different
mm,
sisterhoods, the different brotherhoods, and we're in communion for an overall Venusian
mm,
enhancement of the mysteries
mm,
being here on earth. So we all have our part, and it's really like it's beautiful to witness you, and it's beautiful, to witness women that are younger coming into this space, and this weaving of ages and cultures and countries, and all with this like singular pull
mm,
of
mm,
Venus.
mm, mm.
It's so beautiful. It's Yeah, thank you for your work.
Thank you, Ameya. Thank you. You're so sweet.
Yeah.
Thank you. Um,
Yeah, I'm so
I,
grateful, really.
I'm so grateful for you. I, I thought it's just a loving. But thank you. Thank you for your kind words. Um, yeah, everything you shared just resonated so deeply, and I feel like we said, it's time, and it's like we're all being called to take up position, wherever that is, in whatever form, in whatever way, to just hold this frequency of love, to hold this frequency of the heart, to hold this embodied way, to
Yeah,
remember our connection with each other, with ourselves, with the earth.
yeah,
So,
exactly. Yes.
May, thank you for your time. Thank you for the work
Oh,
that you do. Like truly, I was so touched when you guys said you do. Like, thank you. I love you guys. Like, really look forward
well,
to hopefully.
we really hold that similar vision that you
Mm,
have. We really hold that place of the coming together, of this lineage. And we really want to support those who are doing that work because it is this together process. And I'm in a different stage and phase of my life with a child and parenting and different ways that I want to be online and connected. And so I'm grateful that you're you're holding that.
Um, Thank you.
Yeah.
And also just to because you are you're holding so much and you're also doing courses and other things like can you hear me okay? Because my dad's on the
No,
phone.
something weird happened, I think. I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Now?
Oh yeah. Now I can
No,
hear you.
my dad was just trying to call me like thanks dad. Like, that's so nice.
Oh, sacred masculine.
Rose, well, he's a Rose. He wrote a song for the Rose Brothers last year. Very sweet. Anyway, thank you for your kind words. And I was going to say, is there anything people who maybe I'm sure most people who listen to this and are listening to this know your work, but is there any way that they can find your work? Have you got any upcoming offerings that you'd like to share about in any way? I know you've got a wait list for quite a lot of your things, but if there's anything that you want to
Yeah,
share,
I've
other
got a
than
lot. I've got a lot like sort of coming. Um, so Achintia and I are taking a sabbatical next year for Priestesses of the Rose, which we have never done in 7 years. So that's exciting.
it is.
Um, I have a online temple membership, a Rose Living Temple membership,
Mm, mm,
and that's always ongoing and available. And I also have the Coven, which is going to open probably in later fall, which is for sacred feminine leaders, priestesses who want to expand their sacred work. I feel really passionate about helping women expand in a way that they're nourished, in a
mm,
way that their output is
mm,
equal to what they receive.
mm,
I think we're really wanting to move out of the hustle and following all these templates that don't feel
mm,
aligned and true. And so the coven is a sacred sanctuary. It's really a business mastermind for
mm,
your sacred work. And
mm,
then I have my Avalon pilgrimage every summer and France pilgrimage. And so there's always lots of ways. I feel like my deepest message is about devotion, devotion
mm,
to the rose, devotion to self, devotion to those we love, devotion to the earth, devotion to our sacred service in the world. And so most of my offerings tend to fall into those realms.
mm.
And there's lots of ways to connect depending on, what's needed and wanted for each woman.
Beautiful, Maria. Thank you. And I love the offering around the rewiring around business. I think that's just like, I'm like, I need to come. That'd be
It's
great to
so
be
interesting
there.
because I've always done all my business from this really what has felt really true to me. And a few
Mm,
years ago, I started getting women asking me like,
mm,
how are you successful and how do you do this? And I thought, oh, like, I'm not a business coach. I don't know that you want to learn that from me, but I actually know so much. And
mm,
I've been really sustainable in my
mm,
journey around having a business and running a business
mm,
where that feels really important in our world.
mm,
So I feel really passionate about it too. And actually, the last time I was in Avalon, when I just saw you a couple months ago, I felt like Avalon was like pretty clear with me
mm,
of you must help other women get their
mm,
sacred work because
mm,
that's the pulse where we really start to see even bigger change in the world. And I say that meaning, like we've been talking about, everyone has their piece of the pedal, right? And we don't want to compare ourselves. Sometimes just, having a happy home is very
mm,
important. And
mm,
for me, as far as my own priestessing and what I'm here to do, it's very clear that I'm here to help the women who have their businesses and their sacred work go out and expand even more so
mm.
that that service is really just like Isis's wings are far out and we can we can really support bigger changes happening
Mm, mm,
collectively. Yeah. So thanks for
mhm,
letting me share
mm.
that. And
Yeah,
anyone can
thank
ask me
you.
questions anytime.
Thank you, Leah. And
Yeah.
your Instagram, well, I'll cover the
Yeah.
Instagram so we can find you that way. But
Yeah.
yeah, so thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your devotion to this path, your devotion to service and supporting so many women. And thank you for your peaceful heart as well and feeling so deeply in a world that is sometimes quite hard to feel in.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really honouring you and thank you for your time tonight. And I'm very excited for next Saturday, Friday, where you and Achincha will be sharing your beautiful workshop at the summit. There's still places if people are called. Feels like a real gift. Feels like you guys are going to be like it's all going to be leading to that on the Friday for this epic womb ceremony. I've done one of yours both you mentioned it before, and I'm just kind of like, I just don't move for like days because it's just so profound and deep, the cellular clearing and awakening. So I might not do it because I need to still be like on it for the rest of the summit, but I'm very excited for everyone to do it because I know how profound it will be and can be. So thank you and sending you love and look forward to hopefully meeting for longer in person next time,
Let's do
whenever
it.
that may
Let's
be.
do it. Yeah, we have the
Mm,
intention now. Yeah.
mm,
Thank
thank
you, Sophie.
you.
So much love. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Have a beautiful day.
You too.